For those of you who have installed some devices of our Snap Inverter series, you will remember that we once had a display on our inverters on the outside cover. With our modern inverters, if it's the Gen 24, the Verto, the Tauro, also the Ageno, we have no displays anymore, and communication is basically just possible over Solar Web and over Solar Start. However, the only communication that remains are the LED lights in the front. So the left LED light is the operational one, and the right LED light for internet connection. A very warm welcome to this webinar. In this webinar, we will talk exactly about those LED spots and about the communication that is possible with it. LEDs on the Fronius inverters, subtitle is responding to error messages correctly. This will be also part of this webinar. If you see an error message here, then what is the correct response? Usually our webinars are targeted at PV installers. This webinar is a bit of a special case. This webinar is targeted at the PV owners. If you're an PV installer and you're watching it right now, then you are also in the perfect place. First of all, there still might be some information that is useful for you. And secondly, this webinar will end up in our YouTube channel, and then you can send it via link also to your customers. So this was the idea of this webinar. We hope that we can do the explanation instead of you. My name is Max. I'm part of the Fronius solar trainings team, and I will speak you through this webinar today. Behind the camera is my colleague Michael. If you have questions, please feel free to ask them. Use the chat function, and Michael will take care of those questions while I'm speaking. Let's also take a quick look on the agenda of this webinar. Basically, we are discussing 3 points. First of all, we'll take a look at the LED signals, what colors they can have, and what those colors mean. Secondly, we will see how to correct the response to error messages. The third point is, as I said before, especially targeted at PV owners, how to solve problems yourself without the help of an electrician. There are some things the end customer can do before he or she is calling either the installer or also our support, and it's worth knowing what possibilities there are. And yeah, I will discuss that in the end of this webinar. But let's start with the LED signals on the Gen 24. So when I say on the Gen 24, then it's technically not just the Gen 24, but also Verto, Tauro, all our pilot devices. As you know, there are 2 LEDs, and in the middle of those LEDs, there is the touch point. I will start with the touch point. So if you're pressing this touch point once, then the Wi-Fi access point is opening. If it is open, then you will find your inverter in the networks and you can connect to it. If you're touching it twice, then the WPS function is activated. If this function is activated at the inverter and at the Wi-Fi router at the same time, then those two can connect without using a password. So perfect if you or your customer, if they have forgotten the password, then just open the WPS function. And if you're holding 3 to 6 seconds on the touch point, then you can quit service messages if there are some. Let's go to the LEDs. So there are 2. On the left-hand side is the operational LED. So the left LED tells you everything about PV production. If it is green, then this means your inverter is perfectly fine, producing energy as it should. If it is yellow, then the inverter is in standby mode. And standby mode, this happens, for example, overnight. So there's no production, but the inverter is totally fine. And this is also a common mistake or a common misunderstanding that is also discussed sometimes on our support hotline. Some people call and they say, my inverter is wrong, it's not green, the left LED is yellow, and in the end the conclusion is it's night and there is no PV production, so of course it's not green but yellow. But everything is fine, and in the morning it will be green again. Also not to worry is if the left LED is flashing yellow, then it is just an uncritical error. What that is, you will see in a minute. And critical error is it if the LED is red. Obviously, red always a color for something is not okay. However, critical error doesn't mean you have to panic. It does mean take a look at your inverter, connect to it, open the status code, and then you see what kind of critical error it is. Also, we will come to that in a moment. And also, let's go to the right LED, to the communication LED. If the inverter is connected to the internet, then this LED is just blue. Perfect. If it's flashing blue, then this means the access point is opened. So this will usually just happen during commissioning. If it is flashing green, WPS is activated. And same as with left LED, if it is red, then this is an indicator of an error. And red at the right LED means that the internet connection is not available or whatever kind of network error there is. At this point, also one important information, those two LEDs, they are independent of each other. So if the right LED is, so the communication LED is red, but the left is green, then this means there's no internet connection. However, PV production is not affected. So you will not have the information on SolarWeb, but basically the inverter is producing as it should. In the following 3 slides, I have summarized for you the probably most important combinations you should know. So there are many. You can imagine left is red, yellow, whatever, and on the right-hand side you see blue, red, green flashing, and I have summarized the most important combinations. So normal operation, as I said, left green, right blue. This is the way it should be. Then there are non-critical messages, as I said, on the left-hand side, yellow. So inverter is in standby, it's not operational, for example, at night. Flashing yellow is also what we mentioned. Inverter indicates a non-critical status. And if you have the yellow light on the right-hand side, then the network connection is not configured. So this will happen during commissioning, but then once it is configured and commissioned the inverter, then usually this right light should not be yellow. And then let's go to the critical messages. So this is every time something is red. We already said on the left-hand side, if it's red, then the inverter indicates a critical status. There is no grid power feed process. So there is an error, and you will have an error message in your inverter or on SolarWeb. If it is flashing red, this is something we haven't mentioned yet, then this indicates a backup power overload. You remember during backup power operation, there is a certain limit or a certain discharging limit that your combination of battery and inverter has. And let's say this discharging limit is 5 kilowatt and loads in your household are taking more than those 5 kilowatts, then the inverter is shutting down and ramping up again. And if that happens, this is this backup power overload, then you will see the red light flashing. So basically not an error, just you could call it a situational error. And on the right-hand side, if the inverter, if the light is red, then as I said, a network fault is indicated, but the inverter is operating correctly. So we come to the question how to respond correctly to those error messages. First of all, if there is a red light on your left LED spots on the operational light, connect to your inverter. You can either do that over SolarWeb or also by connecting to it via opening access point and using the SolarStart app. For you as an end customer, I would recommend to go to SolarWeb. It's the easiest way. And then to click on settings and service messages. And when you click on service messages, then you will see this screen here, and then you will see listed up all the errors. You also see a filter function in the top left, and you see 3 kind of filters you could set: error messages, warning messages, info messages. By standard, just the error messages are ticked and you're just seeing the error messages. And this has a reason, because warning messages and info messages are usually not relevant for you as a PV owner. They are relevant for us in support and might be also if the troubleshooting is necessary and the PV installer needs some more information. I can show you why. We will get to the error messages in a minute. So error messages is everything that was indicated by a red light. If you go to warning messages, then you get information such as too low DC power for feed-in. This is information our customers get every day, or almost every day, if when sun is rising up and there is sunshine, but not enough that the inverter can start producing, then you will get this information. So not an error and nothing really to respond to. And even more, this holds true for info messages. You see it listed up here, for example, emergency power mode active. It's just an information, there's nothing wrong. Or support user, access locked, no connection to the Fronius smart meter. There might be also some temporarily information that is relevant for 1 minute, but the other, it's already fixed. So warning messages and info messages for you as a PV owner, usually not relevant. But the error messages, you receive an error messages, so what can you do then? Then you should click on the error message and go through the solutions. Sorry for the German title, Lösungen durchgehen, it's go through the solutions that are suggested. So you open up the error code. For example, in this case, this is 1063, AC grid conditions out of feed-in limits. And you open the error code and then you get suggestions for possible causes of this error and also for solutions. In this example, first possible causes, it just occurs once. Solution, automatic correction, inverter starts up again. So you don't have to do anything. Still, maybe this happens several times. A second explanation might be an outdated software. Second suggestion is run latest software update in SolarWeb, go to settings, components for your PV system and perform the update. Okay, you can do that. How to do this, we will also talk about in a minute. You do that, it still comes up. Third reason, a manual restart is necessary. It's also what we will take a look at in a moment. You're doing this restart, and if then the problem is still unsolved, then it says if contact your PV system installer or contact the Fronius trained installer. Also for you installers, also might be the point for getting in contact with our support. So always go through those kind of possible solutions and causes. And those two measures, outdated software, install and update, and the manual restart, this is something that you will come across often. And those are the two things you as a PV installer can do without calling us or your PV installer. And how to do that, this is the point this is the topic for our next point. How to solve problems yourself without the help of an electrician. So first of all, as I said, carry out updates. You go on settings and components in SolarWeb, and then you find here data sources. There are the installed pilots, and if an update is possible, then this red update button comes up, and let me get the laser pointer. So this red update button gets up. If no update is possible, then here it would say newest software installed, and you can't see it. But if you see this update button, click on it. And the second thing you can do is restarting your inverter. And restarting sounds easier than it is. It is not difficult, but still there's a particular order you should follow when restarting your inverter, especially in connection with a battery. And for this restart process, you should remember the saying bad is good. If you have already attended some webinars, then you will have probably got to know my colleague Tony. Tony, he's half British and half Austrian, and he invented this, or I think he invented this saying, remember bad is good. And I think it's a very good way of memorizing the correct order of shutting down the system and ramping it up again. Here is why. You need to remember first the battery to switch off, then disconnecting the AC supply, and then disconnecting the DC supply at the inverter. And if you're starting the system again, then you're using the same order. First the battery, then AC supply, then DC. And if you're taking a look at the first letters of those words, then it's always bad, so that's why bad is good. My colleague Michael, who is behind the camera here, has already done an how-to video, an excellent how-to video on this topic, on restarting an inverter correctly. And Michael will send you the link in the chat. So if you need more information on that, or if you just want to see how this perfect restart works, take a look at this video. For you PV owners, also a very good explanation in the video. And if you're an installer, feel free to copy this link, send it to your customers. And last but not least, in this point, how to help yourself, also take a look at internet problems and what you can do. Again, those are the things that I'd say you as an PV owner can do without calling an expert. You just can try, and probably also already those simple solutions help. First of all, take a look at your Wi-Fi router. If internet connection is bad, maybe you can adjust the antenna on the router itself. Maybe you can also change the location of the router. The more walls the signal has to go through until it finds the receiver, the weaker the signal is. Also, wood, concrete are not our glass, very isolating materials. So maybe change the location of the router, try to have it in the middle somewhere in the room. Maybe you can also change it to another room, and this can already help. If this very simple solution doesn't help, then probably you need to extend the network. You can help yourself with mesh systems or repeater systems. Repeater system, they're very similar systems. Both have the aim to amplify the Wi-Fi signal. The repeater is a device you usually put in your power sockets, and the repeater is receiving the Wi-Fi signal and is then shouting a new Wi-Fi signal into the next room. And with repeater, a new Wi-Fi network is opened, also with a new Wi-Fi password. So then it seems like you have several routers in your house. A mesh system is very similar, only that those mesh devices that you also put in your power sockets, they are not opening a new Wi-Fi network with a new password, but are just amplifying the existing one. And what you also could try is using power line adapters. With power line adapters, the internet signal is sent via electric cables, so in electric cables in your wall. How does this work? You have two devices, one at the beginning of a electrical cable and one at the end. And the beginning device is connected to the Wi-Fi router, in best case by cable. And then, as I said, Wi-Fi signal is flowing over the electrical cables in your house. And at the end device, then you can again plug in a cable and then get the Wi-Fi signal or the internet signal to your router or to whatever device. Also to an inverter. We are getting to an end of this webinar. Let me just sum up what I told you. So this webinar was about what was an end customer target webinar, and what you can do if your Wi-Fi signal is low, what you can do, and first of all, was about the LED signals on the inverter. So what the signals can look like, what colors they can come up, and what kind of message this implies. We looked at error messages. What can you do if an error message opens? Best case, don't panic. Just take a look at the inverter, open SolarWeb, take a look at the error message. There you find suggestions what you can do. Just go through them. Probably the problem is already solved. In many cases of those problems, there are two things you as a PV owner can do. First of all, you can install an update, and secondly, you can also do a restart of the system. And yeah, and last but not least, we talked about internet problems and how you can, with mesh systems, repeater systems, also power line adapters, you can tackle it there. More information you find on our YouTube channel, so how-to videos and also already held webinars. And if you're a PV installer, then I want to invite you to further webinars and further trainings. Just click on our homepage, and there you find the possibility to register for trainings. I wish you a lot of success with our product. Thanks for watching, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next time.